So the topic is manhood, masculinity, whatever you want to call it. But all of us had a picture of what it was to be the man. Everyone wanted to be the man. So what was it for you, bro?
Yeah, being the man, I guess I thought that, getting girls made me the man.
Yeah.
If I played sports, I was the man. If I had a fast car or, just things like that. The way people perceived me, to think I was something great, really made me feel like I was a real man. What about you, man?
Ladies was really the central qualifier, because if you were good at sport but no girl liked you as a result, then you weren't the man.
If you were good at sport, you're definitely getting girls, man.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. But really, it was the girl attraction that eventuated from all of this that really made you the man. Because really, if you had swag but no one liked you, it didn't amount to anything. It really was like, okay, this guy's got swag, and the swag was qualified because, okay, the girls like him. So it must be how he dresses, must be the car he drives, must be, something about him. He's got money. All of those were the thing. And then looks were a big thing, But then you had people like Lil Wayne and 50 Cent. They totally canceled the looks thing. It was like, bro, how is this guy pulling the ladies? So then it kind of made everyone go for external things. It was like car, clothes, just some sort of thing to give you a reputation, and you were the man. That was the idea of being a real man,
Yeah, I guess growing up, for me, my parents split when I was pretty young, so I would live with mum, and I didn't have a dad around, so I didn't even know what it was to be a real man. I didn't have a role model in my life to show me what a real man was. So, I was looking to, movies or, celebrities, TV stars, sports players, all these sort of things. So that was sort of what my perception was of what I had to do if I wanted to be the man, be a real man and people to like me and think I was tough. But really, those were bad examples, man, because looking to them, I thought, like you said, it focused around girls. So if I dressed a certain way or I try to make, my hair look a certain way, people are going to like me. And, I started getting into sports, and I thought, if I play more sports, because it's so popular here, people are going to think this guy's the man, and you start to get female attention. So that was my perception, but in reality, it didn't really make me the man, because it really just caused me so much problems.
Totally. So, I'm thinking back. I had a friend, his name was Vincent, and, often, because we were in boarding school, so people would be like, oh, bro, like Des. Bro, I bet you can't jump over the fence and go to the shops. He'd be like, I bet I can. And everyone's like, nah, you can't, bro. You're just scared. And then he'd be like, oh, watch. So then there he goes, jumps over the fence just to prove that he was man enough, And I think the peer pressure side of manhood meant that the standard then wasn't really any particular thing anymore. It was like, okay, whatever the bros set as the standard, it might be like, okay, bro, I dare you to go and streak naked across the beach or something, and then if you did it, you were man enough. Or I dare you to, do something ridiculous, and then that became some sort of standard of manhood to see how brave you were.
But I saw that a lot, even with my mates, even in terms of fighting and stuff like that, it's like, everyone would G one of the guys up, and be like, come on, man, fight this guy or whatever.
Are you going to literally say that to you? Bro, you're not just going to stand around and...
And then the guy would end up fighting, and it doesn't matter if he got a hiding or whatever, but people would be like, oh, yeah, like, you were tough, man, you tried. But once he got a bash, like, no one really cared about if he fought or not, but he has to deal with the consequences of getting beaten up. And then no one really thinks he is the man, after that. So it was sort of just this peer pressure of what other people's standards were to make us think that we were somewhat a man.
Definitely. And I'm thinking, like, when I think back to first time I got stoned, was Avondale College. I got here, I knew no one, and the first group of friends I found were about to wag school and go and get stoned. And so I thought, I hate being a loser, because I had no friends when I first came, so I just thought, man, I must be like the biggest loser and hopeless. So that was totally emasculating to have no friends at lunchtime. So then I joined this crew, and away I go, come back stoned to chemistry class. And it was really just trying to please the boys and kind of look like you're a little bit tough and, you're kind of cool. And then it went from that to getting wasted. Because, whenever people are telling their stories, of their childhood or the fun stories, no one ever says, bro, I crossed the road and I helped this old lady, I gave some food to this person who was starving on the side of the road, or I looked after a child who... It's always like, bro, I was running away from the cops, or bro, I got wasted, or bro, I got stoned. Some sort of out there act that glorifies this sort of rebellious bad boy kind of persona, That's because that's really what the perception of a real man was,
Yeah, what's funny is because I used to play rugby growing up, and obviously in New Zealand, like the rugby culture is massively into drinking. So drinking is a huge thing in that culture. And for me, I didn't drink, growing up. Or
at all?
Not at all, man.
Nothing.
Never had
Never
alcohol.
a sip.
Never a sip, man.
Till this day.
Till this day.
Oh,
which is strange.
It is strange.
Because I wasn't a Christian or anything like that. But it's just something that I had been brought up with. So something that was sort of installed in me, and I didn't do it.
Never tempted?
No, never tempted, man. But I was too focused on rugby, and trying to keep my body in top shape. So I thought I better not touch his stuff. But anyway, like a lot of teams that I was in, especially I remember one team, when I was a teenager, and no one ever really pressured me to drink, which was strange because I just said I didn't do it, and actually got respect from a lot of my teammates. But there was this one guy in the team, and you could tell he didn't really want to do it, but everyone would be like, oh, come on. They always peer pressure him and give him drinks, and like everyone was sort of, really getting stuck into him. So he would start drinking and doing all this stuff. And it really, everyone would just pick on him all the time for that. And I look back on it now and I thought, he thought he was being the man because he had to get in there with the rest of the boys. But actually... that didn't really make him a man.
Not at all.
Because, a man sort of stands up for what they believe, now that I look at it. They stand up for what they believe, and they don't let people push them around. So he thought he was being a man, but they saw because they could do that to him, it was really a weakness.
Totally.
Totally. Yeah.
Bro, I suppose I see myself in that dude because, in many ways, even though you have this persona of being a real man, when it came to... oh, bro, have another shot. Shot. I was always leaning towards having another one so that it wouldn't be like, oh, you're a party pooper,
Yeah.
But often you're really reluctant, Even when it came to wagging school, I was often just deep within, I was really unwilling. I was like, I really don't want to do this. But then it's like, oh, well, I'll just go along with it. But I remember, one time I was in Dominion Road. I was with my sister and her boyfriend. Anyway, we went to visit this house, and they were having spots. And so I'd never done spots before, and the guys got dreadlocks, and, it was two girls, actually, that were about to do the spots. And they're like, oh, you smoke weed, and I was like, yeah. So then they put spots. I took a 2.25 liter of spots, and I was coughing like crazy. And they're like, oh, surely you're going to have one more. Surely one more. Come on. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll have one more. Honestly, I was so out of it. I was like, I thought I was losing my mind, It was a scary experience. And the very thing I was afraid of was, being called weak. I was weak, bro. I totally lost the plot. So if I thought I was tough before, now I really look like a pussy because I couldn't even gain traction for one thought, and we're driving to Mission Bay, and I was like, man, I'd rather be dead than stay like this. It was really bad, and it was a lesson learned. It's like, bro, who are you trying to please? Because they're the people life goes on for them. And here I was dealing with this drama, and no one could even understand what I was going through. They were just laughing, It was like, never again.
I had similar experience, but not in terms of drugs, but, in sports, it's like, so I was a vegetarian. And, people used to say to me, come on, man, you got to eat meat. Like, like real men eat meat. You'll never succeed in sport. You'll never be able to do anything unless you eat meat.
What about protein, man? You need protein.
Bro, protein, man. That's good. I've been teaching you well. But people would say that, and they said, you'll never be able to excel, or you can never be good because meat is essential to being able to do that. And,
bro, I can't believe all your life, no alcohol, no drugs, no meat. All your life.
Yeah, man.
Bro, what? What planet are you from, bro?
Maybe I wasn't man enough, man.
Seriously,
I wasn't a man.
It's like New Zealand's standard is like, a man has a steak, bro. Steak. And you never had meat. Wow.
I know, man. I know. So I used to, eat this diet, and they said you could never be good enough, but... Yeah, I was actually able to excel in sports.
Incredible.
And that was without eating meat, but it goes against the stereotype of what you had to do. And just looking on that, it's actually so detrimental to people. I just imagine, young kids growing up today, especially boys, and all these things are pushed on society, like you have to do this stuff to be a man. And because I thought the same thing. And it's so easy to go down these roads. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to tread on the boundary, push the limits. In fact, that's really what the perception of a real man is. I think to myself that, maybe the trait is good of being fearless, but maybe it's just directed in the wrong avenue because, it's like, be fearless in situations where there's danger and you need to rescue someone. You're a fireman, you're a policeman, you're a father trying to protect, someone's in danger, rather than... Bro, be fearless having shots, be fearless. It's so foolish, I'm inspired thinking, bro, you said no to alcohol, no to drugs, because those are major things, especially for teenagers, just thinking about the teenage experience. It's almost like people can't comprehend life without that. It's like the thing people do when they want to have fun. It's like, we're drinking. Where are we drinking? It's all about alcohol and drugs. Yes. So, I mean, what did you do for fun?
It's funny. So I would hang around my mates and stuff, and we would go parties or, clubs and stuff after games and that, and on the weekends. But, like, I would still be around that culture, but I just wasn't partaking in it, but I still wanted to be, fit in with the crowd and be with your mates and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess the thing for me that was fun was trying to get girls at the time. So that was really my sort of issue, that I wasn't dealing with drugs or alcohol, but I was dealing with girls. And I was just trying to get girls, and I thought, like I mentioned earlier, getting as many as you can made me the man, because everyone would say, oh, he can get girls, and girls would think, oh, he gets girls, so I want to get with him.
Yeah.
This is the sort of ideology I had. And I would just be trying to get with different girls and going with as many as possible. But in the end, like, I would just cheat on a lot of people, and I got a bad rap. I got a bad name. People ended up hating me. Losing friends, losing relationships with girls. And, and I think, looking back, and I was thinking, I was trying to be the man, but when I saw what actually happened, I was like, and when I look at it now, I'm like, man, that's not a man at all. Like, a man is someone who's honest and upright and is trustworthy and doesn't lie to people and break people's hearts and all this sort of stuff, and it's like, what a warped perception that I had of what a man was. And, you wish you could tell people who are growing up this now, because it could save themselves a lot of heartbreak and a lot of dramas. But, that's what I thought a man was. But now looking on it now, like, people who are doing that, if I was doing that right now, it's like, that's not a man at all. Like, I'm just a little boy, really, when I was doing that, man.
It's like we were saying the other day, that you run away from the cops. You do something, you run away from the cops, and you're kind of thinking, yeah, bro, I was tough. I ran away from the cops. And yet, if you were really tough, you would stand and face the cops, you know.
Exactly.
But here you're cowering away, being a chicken, and making it out to be that you're tough, you know.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let's commit a crime, you know, but I'll run away. But
yeah, I don't want to face the music.
You're too scared to face the music. Is a real man scared of anything? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't he be facing up to what he did? Because that's what a real man is, right?
Yeah. Not afraid of anything, yeah. For you, what was it that kind of flicked the switch?
The way that I used to think.
Because society hasn't changed.
Yeah,
society is still going that way.
I feel like it's getting worse that way.
It's getting worse. You know, the whole idea of manhood is totally a mystery for many in society now. So you know, if not society, and there's no dad in the home, so where do you get the perspective of manhood? Because, you know, I suppose for all of us men, there must be a reference point. No one is just an island who just makes up their own idea of manhood. You're going to get it from somewhere. What was yours, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you know, we both grew up, without our fathers, right, at different times in our lives. So for me, I didn't have a role model to look to or tell me how I should be or how I should act or what I should do. So, yeah, I didn't even have a role model. Mum tried her best, but, you know, she didn't even know the full roles of what, you know, you should be teaching a boy to be. So, yeah, I was doing all that stuff, and it's not until I came to Christ, you know, that it completely changed my whole mindset. Because the standards of society are still the same.
Yeah.
But when I read the Bible and I found, you know, I saw who Jesus was, it's not until I saw his characteristics that I thought, man, this is what a real man is, you know, someone who, he was honest, you know, trustworthy, but he was gentle as well and caring and loving. And, you know, he was not out there to harm anyone or do anything bad against people. And it's like, not until I read that, I'm like, this is what a real man is, you know. It's not what I thought it was on doing all the stuff opposite to this.
Totally.
So he sort of became a role model or a figure in my life, being a male, as someone that I could look up to and say, like, yeah, that's a man. Like, but I wish I had that earlier. You know?
I know, me too.
I wish I had that influence on me earlier, because I wouldn't have done half the things that I did in my past. And I wouldn't have had all those terrible experiences.
Yeah, you know, I remember I was walking at Henderson one time and I bumped into a teenage boy, high school, and he was telling me how much his, he's angry because his dad got shot, but his dad used to beat up his mom, and now his mom was with his stepdad, and the stepdad was beating up his mom, and he was just filled with anger because he couldn't do anything, you know. Because obviously the stepdad is much bigger than him, and, you know, if he tried to stop anything, then he'd turn on both of them. But, you know, yeah, I think to myself that I suppose people look at that version of manhood, you know, of this tough guy, which a lot of girls love, that bad boy kind of guy. Look, you know, they don't want a softie. And people somehow are drawn to, this kind of tough look, and yet it's destructive in many ways, you know. This Mr. Tough guy, if he can't control his anger, that has a good purpose when there's some injustice, then how is that a man? You know, if you can't control your anger and you're turning your anger against your children, turning your anger against your wife, your girlfriend. You know, for me it was similar to you. I was sick of peer pressure, to be honest. I was like, just sick of pretending, you know, sick of being fake. I just found a lot of the time, you know, I was seldom feeling like I'm being authentic. You know, you're kind of just playing the part, even if it was with girls, you know, always pretending, putting on a mask just to try and get something out of the situation, just to try and get praise or look like the man. And I really got sick of it, you know, and I just started searching. I remember I was living in Titirangi, you know, I was sleeping around, you know, the whole drinking scene, smoking, all of that. I was totally dissatisfied, you know, totally empty. And at the time, you know, I had got to the point where I was like, because I used to feel guilty. I got to the point where I was like, I don't even believe in the Jesus thing. You know, I gave up praying in Jesus' name. So I was fully out there. But what really drove that was because I just wanted to live a totally secular life without any conscience, to just live as bad as I could be. And yet, it brought me no joy. In fact, I was just empty. I felt like I was still constantly pretending. And in my search, I finally came to know Christ. And it was like, whew, it's like I don't have to pretend anymore. I can actually live for a purpose that brings satisfaction. So then from that point on, I really started to value, because I was now seeing role models as well as Christ. There were families that we were connected to earlier on, that like they homeschooled their children. They lived out in the country. The wife and husband had an incredible relationship. The family had these sort of family catch-up sessions every night. They had family devotion together. The children were just so responsible. They did chores. They could do things. It was an incredible picture for me. It's like, wow, like these people exist. They were also plant-based, but it was like an out of this world picture of family, because I've never had a family. I've never even known my father and mother together at all. Not even a picture in my head. Nothing. Never a moment. And I've got memories of my dad going shooting birds with me. And that was cool, But it was short-lived. Only 1 year I lived with my dad, and then that was it. And so then, just being connected with these people that valued responsibility. The role of the man was there for the family, making sacrifices, providing. And he was a solid Christian and lived by faith, and just trusted God to come through for him. And it was just honestly like, where am I? It was just out of this world, but totally something that appealed to me at the time, because I had 2 girls pregnant. Now I'm a dad when I wasn't even ready. And the last thing I wanted at that point was to be your normal dad that I had seen growing up. I didn't want to be that anymore,
It's funny, if I think about, me, like us trying to be the playboy, and thought that would make women be attracted to us and people think we were the man. Actually acting like that's not really what women want,
Not at all.
And I see it on social media all the time, when you see someone talking about what their partner's like or something in good attributes. You're like, oh, you're so lucky to have a man like that or whatever, because everyone thinks that men are just trying to sleep with people because it makes them manly. But yeah, when you see that now, that's an attribute. Those are attributes that you don't really see these days.
Totally.
And it's quite foreign. So when someone sees someone like that, it's attractive,
Totally.
And I think especially for guys, like looking at someone like that, you're like, man, that's a lot different to what I thought that I was meant to be. How I was meant to be. So you see that and you're like, man, I want to be like that as well, and have, a family like that, stability. And be respected like that, and stability. Yeah, it's like, but we're growing up on a completely different track because society has really molded us to a completely different way. So
totally.
Yeah, that's deep, man. When you see that in someone else, and women are searching for men like that today, but men think we got to be this other way. Because that's what women will think you're the man.
Totally.
But really, women are looking for a man that's different. That's going to be like, the guy you were describing.
Yeah. It's ironic because I suppose both men and women seem to be acting the role that they don't want to be in order to gain, the guy, the stable, good guy that's going to be there and committed. And yet the role we're pretending to be only draws the opposite, from what we design. I remember thinking, people in their 30s would come to parties when I was still late teens, early 20s. And I'd be like, man, these guys are old. What are they doing here? Because subconsciously in my mind, this is what kids did.
Not when you're older.
Not when you're older. You don't do that when you're older, So obviously there was an inherent immaturity, even in my thinking. But there was some truth to that you don't expect someone at that age to still be chasing after these childish pleasures. It's like, okay, been there, done that. I'm going to settle down now. And people even say that, it's time for me to settle down. And yet, if that was a goal to begin with, you would save yourself all of that nonsense that we went through,
Yeah, it's interesting what you said, we're acting the part to get something that we want, but that's not what people want.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's like we're playing this ladies' man role, but ladies don't want that.
Yeah.
And
we don't want the slut that's going to sleep with the guy who's just catching girls.
And ladies are playing like I'll sleep around to attract the men, and then the men don't want that. So it's like we're doing the complete opposite of what each of us want. Yeah, what we desire. And it's like, it's messed up, man. Yeah. It's so messed up. But society has molded us so much
Bro,
to be like that, man.
It's foolish. It's upside down. It's funny. My wife has a friend at uni when she was studying teaching, and the girl was like, because she was looking for a partner, and this guy, a boyfriend, and this guy that took an interest in her, she was like, oh, we just don't have chemistry. And so my wife talked to me about it, and I was like, look, the perception of chemistry is he's not flirting with me. That's really what chemistry is. He's not flirting with me. There's no sex appeal.
He's not trying to sleep
He's
with me.
not trying to sleep with me. And it's true that, like what people call chemistry is like, oh, how you doing?
Yeah.
That's chemistry. It's like we had a moment. We had a spark, love at first sight, attraction, not even lust at first sight. Does this person have sex appeal? That's really what people call chemistry. Whereas in the end, she took my wife's advice and she thanked her in the end. She's like, man, I'm so glad I took your advice because he respects me. He treats me like a woman. He's just so, honest and down to earth and humble and just loves me. And it's like, whoa. So that's actually what you were looking for. But the bait that people use to get that is the wrong bait. You ain't going to catch husband material with that kind of bait. You ain't going to catch wife material with that kind of bait,
It's funny. I got a mate on social media she has like an OnlyFans account, right? So posting up pictures of nudes and all this sort of stuff. But she'd been doing it for a while, and then she had put up, like talking about her, like she wanted to find someone special, and she felt lonely and stuff like this. And it's like
with all her fans, for her only,
all of the fans, man. But the thing was like, she thought, if I put that out there, that's going to attract these sort of men that I want. But really, the only men that were coming to her were wanting to sleep with her or see her nude or whatever, exploit her in those ways. And it's sad because now she's like got this business that she's got because it's making her money. But then, she can't attract the man that she really wants because she's doing this. And it's like she thought that was going to get her the husband material, that guy who's a real man. But it hasn't turned out that way, and it's sad, We're doing the wrong things to try and get the right people.
Totally. Yeah, it shows, how upside down what we've been taught and what we believe really is. And it's really what we believe at the very core. Because, I think to myself that, Christianity says, okay, no sex before marriage, court each other, find someone, and it gives characteristics of a person like Jesus. But it also talks, I was thinking, Christ talks about someone who can control their anger, someone who doesn't speak vulgar. That's totally one element. He talks about a husband who does not divorce his wife, meaning till death do us part. I'm going to stand by you for richer, for poorer. That's what Christ elevates. He's like, no divorce. Okay. Someone who's really committed, hardworking. Someone, it says, if someone tells you to go a mile, go the extra mile. So someone who goes the extra mile, someone who's a man of his word, whose yes is yes, no is no. Yeah. There's no way people are looking for that kind of person. It's like people are looking for the guy who's willing to lie and cheat and scheme. And yet the guy that Christianity promotes and says, look, this is the kind of guy you should be looking for, and the kind of woman who's going to be, a wife in the home. That picture is seen as backward and old-fashioned. It's like, who wants that? And actually, when you're in the home, what good is nails that are done when you can't cook in the home? I'm being straight up, like what use is it in the home if you can't cook, you can't clean, you can't take care of children? Like what? You only good for sex? What? That's not wifey material. And for a husband, it's like, oh, bro, he just stays home and smokes weed all day. Plays video games all day. No wife wants a husband like that, and yet these are kind of the carrots that are used out there. And people would criticize the Bible in its uplifting of these values and virtues in people as backward and old-fashioned. And yet the fact that marriage is breaking down so terribly is because people are ignoring these things, chasing after the media's perception of what a real man is and a real wife. And it's all shambles at the moment,
I think if I hadn't come to know Christ, I probably would have gone down that same track, I might have had relationships like that or marriage like that.
Totally.
And it's like, that's not the sort of man I want to be or the husband I want to be, And I can imagine it's the same for you with your wife, It's like, I want to be the things that you were talking about, you know, someone who's honest to his word, hardworking, you know, reliable, you know, trustworthy. All these sort of things are the attributes that I want to have now, which before I thought that was just rubbish and that wasn't really going to make me a man, more like a pussy, you know. But these are the things now that I desire to be. And it's just completely foreign to what I first thought.
Totally. Because even like words, you know, like speaking, honey, you look beautiful today. Not just for sex, not those pickup lines that you say when you, but those kind of gentle, soft words of affirmation, they don't show that you're weak. Normally it's seen as weakness, you know, whereas actually, it's totally manly, you know, to compliment your wife, to kneel down and play with your children, totally manly, you know. Whereas my picture growing up, and this is how the culture was, it's like men don't spend time with children. Seriously. Like, kids are over there, women's job. And, yeah, you know, the man was just kind of sitting on his chair and the woman was a servant. That was the picture that was kind of idealized in Africa anyway, you know, of manhood. And yet Jesus doesn't represent that at all, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, like you said, when I was growing up, I thought, you know, men don't cry, men don't talk about their feelings, or say, you know, they wouldn't say sweet words or something like that to a woman too much, you know, like I love you too much or stuff like that. And I, you know, I knew a couple that actually had been married, and you know, the husband would never say I love you to the wife, and it just caused a massive divide between them. They ended up breaking up because there was no affection there, because he thought, you know, had to be this solid guy, this manly guy, you know. I don't say stuff like that. I don't show my feelings, you know.
Yeah. Only when we're in the bed.
Yeah. But actually doing that with your partner, you know, it just brings you a lot closer together, and it shows that a real man has feelings, you know.
Totally.
Someone that can be vulnerable at times, you know, and talk about his feelings and be that way with a woman, you know. That's what a real man is. And yeah, that's how you would have a more thriving relationship than not saying any of that stuff. And, you know, I know that there's couples like that today that still can't even communicate their feelings and stuff like that, and it causes this big wedge between them.
And, you know, I suppose because we're so shaped by society, sometimes it's almost impossible. We got to do, you know, people go through counseling, life coaching, and yet, you know, this is just the basics of what the Bible is offering. It's like it's never changed for the past however many thousand years. It's been the same narrative all through. You know, society has its ups, its downs, its ups, its downs. And now, you know, the fact of what is a man in society is on a whole nother platform now. And the Bible has stayed the same consistently, and it's helped promote good families, good communities, strong nations. And so, you know, now if I ask you, bro, can a man have a vagina? What's your answer?
No.
What?
But in today's standards of society, a man can have whatever he wants. Like,
totally.
He could have a vagina, he could have a penis, you know, but he could be a
woman
woman as well. I don't even know, man.
Man can get pregnant right now.
You can't say that today, but really, you know, a man can't have a vagina. That's not what a man is, you know.
No.
But, yeah, we'll probably get cancelled for that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, you know, it's because there is no reference point. You know, who's the standard? It's society again. And we look back, we see, man, society's been off on tangents all throughout history. And the Bible says, look, God made male and female. And people have the option to say, okay, look, I'm going to just decide whatever I want, because people want to do whatever they want anyway. But it's certainly not going to make for good families. It's not going to make for strong communities, not a strong nation. And yeah, you can choose to believe the lie if you want to. But to be fair, you know, people say, you know, I identify as female even though I'm a man. And they go as far as having an operation. And yet they say, well, it doesn't matter. It's all just a social construct anyway. And yet they're having the surgery to fit the social construct, which shows how much confusion there is, you know.
But I think it shows that people deep down know what really a man is and really know what a woman is. Even they say it's a social construct, they still want to be that. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I said I wanted to be a woman, like I would probably want to have the long hair and you know, the features of a woman.
Well, so if you say identify as a woman.
As I identify as a woman,
So fine, be a woman.
But the thing is, so even though they say we don't want to hold to these social constructs and we can identify as anything we want, really that's what they want to be, is what society deems as a man, as a woman. So
because that's what's obviously a man and a woman.
Yeah.
So I'm not content just calling myself a woman, even though I've got a penis and I've got a beard. I want to look like a woman, the one God designed as a woman. That's what I want to look like. So really, I'm kicking against the pricks. I'm kicking against nature. I'm kicking against reason. And I want to do my own thing. And I must go as far as getting a doctor to operate on me. Now, if you're in Africa, where chances are you're not going to get surgery, you can't afford it, then what do you do there if you identify as a man and you can't afford it? It's like a choice for the rich, because if you can't afford it, what do you do then? If you identify as a man and you want the parts, what do you do?
I don't know, man. Maybe go to your mate. They can cut you up.
Go to the Mad Butcher. You got any sausages?
But an interesting a point I think is so even if you identify as a man and you're a woman and you change to look like a man, does that really make you a man?
And how do you know what a man feels like for you to say, I identify as a man even though I'm a woman? You've never even like it's especially when they say, there's a spectrum of what it is. So how do you know what you feel like? That, actually I feel like I'm neither male or female. How do you know what male or female feels like? How do you know what they think like for you to reference yourself that you're not that? How do you know that what you think you are is not what really a man or a woman is? It's all just made up.
And then you're just going to conform to whatever society says that a woman or a man is meant to be.
And you want people to tell you that as well.
Exactly. And it's like, if I transition to be a man, it's like, now I'm just going to do what I think men in society are meant to do, sleep around or do all this stuff. And it's like, you're still not really a man.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Because I wasn't even being a man when I was a man.
Absolutely.
I was acting like a boy, But it's like, are you going to now do the qualities that make you a man, like the stuff that we've already talked about? That's what makes a man.
Absolutely.
But, transitioning to a man doesn't make you a man.
Absolutely.
And then you're still just acting like what society tells you a man is.
I suppose from a biblical perspective, because people have to really ignore reality in order to carry on in this direction, But I think to myself, when in history did my sexual orientation become my primary identifying factor? It's like, oh, bro, hi, my name's Clayton. I'm straight. And who cares whether you're straight or not? Even at school, like, who cares what you're doing in the bedroom? How does that matter? That's what I was going to say. If I said, bro, you're not a man, bro, you're a woman, are you going to be offended?
Bro, I'm not going to be offended.
Bro, are you sure? Bro, you're a woman. Bro, you're not a man, you're a woman. Are you offended?
I'm not offended, man.
Be offended, man.
I'm offended.
Like, I'm not offended if someone calls me a woman, a cat, a dog, an elephant. It makes no difference because I am what I am. I'm not going to be different at the end of the day. What you say doesn't make any difference to what I am. Yeah. And I think to myself, if you are really secure in what you are and who you are, whether you identify as whatever, then you don't care what people say. But these things are being taken to court, a teacher not affirming what you say you are. If you call me the wrong name, like, bro, every time you say, bro, I'm terrible with names, bro, people should be offended and take you to court because you're bad with names.
They probably are, man.
Bro. But it's not a big deal. It's like you called me Johnny or people call me Clifton instead of Clayton. It's like, okay, fine. It doesn't change who I am. And no matter what you say, I'm going to be who I am at the end of the day, But because people are really kicking against the pricks, they want people to conform to, this perception. And that's the only way they can even believe it if people affirm what it is, Yeah.
Like you said, people are wanting, affirmation, and they want to be accepted and portrayed in a certain way because everyone's searching for some sort of identity in life, And even if we're men or, someone thinks they're another gender, it's like everyone's searching for something to be identity. I'm identified as this and this is who I am. And really, even though we were men trying to find out what a man really was and thought we were different ways, like you said, we would feel empty and not fulfilled and feel like we're just acting, you know? So we never really found an identity.
That's deep, bro.
It's like we never actually found an identity anywhere. And it's not until, you know, I came to know Christ, like you've mentioned, and really found out who he was and his attributes of what he stands for and being a man, until I really feel like, man, I can feel confident in saying that I'm a man, you know, and this is what I stand for, and I don't have to pretend that I'm something else or act a different way or do the things that society tells me. I can follow what Jesus says, and I can feel like, man, I'm comfortable in being this person, and this is what I feel like I really am a man now. You know?
And you were created to be, you know. That's deep, bro. That's a very profound reflection. In fact, that says more than everything I've said yet. That's so deep, bro. Because you know what? We all have identity dysphoria, which is what everyone is going through, because we're disconnected from God. You know, we're disconnected from the Creator who made us, where really our identity comes from. And so, we're feeling lost. I don't know who I am, where I am. And for me, you know, I'm black. I came to New Zealand. People talk different. They look different. I was lost, you know, and I went with every source of peer pressure because I had no reference point for God. I had no connection with God. And I was looking for people's approval, people's acceptance for my personal identity. And it made me go in all sorts of directions because I had no foundation. And what you said is deep, because, you know, that's where I am too now, that I've found my identity in Christ, and he's my creator. It's like my primary identity. And even though I was off on a tangent, and as I read what he made me to be, it resonates with me. It's like, bro, this is logical. As I see his life and the impact he had, it's like, bro, this is what I should have been all this time, but I didn't know. I was chasing a lie. So then people who are going through gender dysphoria, it's really identity dysphoria. And there is an answer. And the answer is found in Jesus, you know, for both men and women, you know. Because otherwise, you make sex such a big deal, or you make what people say such a big deal, some title such a big deal, and yet what God made us to be is far greater than any of those, you know, that even if people called me a woman or whatever, it's still far less than what God's picture of who he made you to be is supposed to be, bro. You just, I just had a light bulb moment here. It's deep. It's so deep, you know, like that is so profound. That explains it all, that everyone is going through, you know, which people have been going through forever, you know. Deep, bro.